Hi guys, welcome back to Movie On. Today I will explain the movie named Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. At the beginning of the movie, the situation was getting worse day by day because of the zombies. And now, the zombies attack on a party and took control of that party in Netherfield Park. These zombies were hungry for human brains, and they only need human brains as their food. The scene ends here, and then we met the main character of this movie, whose name was Colonel Darcy. Darcy went to a resort and told everyone present in that room that someone was attacked by a zombie here. But Mrs. Featherstone assured him that they have taken every possible step for safety, and in the past 2 years, there was no attack of zombies. Then they got to know that recognizing the newly infected zombies was so tough until they eat the first human brain. And then, Darcy stayed there with the excuse of playing a game with them. Then, he realized some houseflies that only sit on dead people, which means he could recognize dead people or zombies with those flies. Then suddenly, the flies sit on a man's face. That's how Darcy found out that he was a zombie. And then he cuts off the throat of that man in front of everyone. Then he checked his hand and saw that his hand was wounded. And this proved that the man was a zombie. He was infected. And Darcy asked all the people if someone else was infected there. Then Featherstone told him no one else is infected here. Then Darcy left the resort. But then a girl named Cassandra went upstairs to another girl named Annabelle. Actually, Annabelle was the daughter of Mr. Kingston. When Cassandra went close to her and looked at her, she saw that Annabelle was fully turned into a zombie. And before she could run away from there to save her life, Annabelle attacked her. This scene ends here. Then we saw Mr. Bennet. He had 5 daughters, and they were so beautiful. They are Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Catherine, and Lydia. Mr. Bennet had trained his 5 daughters with martial arts very well, but their mom didn't like this at all. The 5 daughters went to a party, and to enjoy the dance, there comes a rich man named Charles Bingley. Then he asks Jane to dance with him, and then Jane got prepared to dance with him. Elizabeth also wanted to dance with Darcy, but Darcy said no. And as a result, Elizabeth got so sad and left the party. And then she saw Featherstone outside, who was turned into a zombie. Featherstone was trying to tell her something, but before she could tell anything, Darcy came there and attacked the zombie. And then all the zombies attacked on the party. But the 5 sisters beat the shit out of those zombies and showed everyone their skill of martial arts. Watching their skill, Darcy and Bingley were so much impressed. In the next scene, we saw that Bingley had invited Jane for tea. And then, Jane went ahead on her horse alone. But in the middle of the road, she was attacked by a zombie. But she fought him with bravery. Suddenly, another zombie attacked her from the back. But the next morning, her sister Elizabeth came to Bingley's house to meet Jane. And then Darcy took her to Jane, and then he realized the flies that could recognize zombies. But Elizabeth caught all the flies one by one. But when the doctor checked on Jane, he found no sign of zombie bite in Jane's body. And then it was clear that she is not infected. Then the next day, Jane's mother and all of her sisters came there. And then Elizabeth was returning to her home with her mother and sisters. But Bingley wanted Jane to stay a little more, because he started to like her. That's why he was a little sad when she was going back. And when they came back to their house, they saw that a guy named Colin was there. He was their cousin, and he talked about marrying Jane. But her mom said no to him, because she wanted Jane to marry Bingley, because he was so rich. And then she told Colin to marry Elizabeth. But Colin was not happy about Elizabeth. And then the 4 sisters started to walk for the London Palace with Colin. But in the middle of the road, zombies tried to attack them, but the sisters killed them. And then, as they reached London, they met a guy named Vincent, who was welcoming them. And then sometime later, Mr. Bingley and Darcy also reached there. Bingley was so happy to see Jane. And then he talked about throwing a party for Jane, but then saw that Darcy and Vincent were angry at each other. And then Elizabeth asked Vincent about Darcy. Then Vincent said that they grew up together, and Vincent was like the second son to Darcy's father. But when he died in a battle, then Darcy was behaving so rude with Vincent, and started to think that he was the superior one. And then Vincent told Elizabeth to meet him at Bingley's party. But after he insisted so much, Elizabeth agreed. The scene ends here, and we see the party scene. The zombie also attacked in that party as well, and that's why Elizabeth was with Mr. Bingley and went to search for her sisters with him. And then, because of the dark, Bingley slipped and fell down, and Elizabeth was also surrounded by zombies. When the zombie was about to attack Elizabeth, Darcy came there and killed those zombies one by one. And then he asked Elizabeth about Bingley being infected, and asked her if he was bitten by the zombies. Then Darcy was about to kill his friend Bingley, against his will, and he thought that he was bitten by the zombies. But then Elizabeth told him no, he's not bitten by zombies. He fell from upstairs by slipping. And then Darcy took him outside. Then Jane got a letter that was written by Bingley's sister, and the letter said that Bingley went to meet Darcy's sister. And guys, we also got to know that Bingley's sister wanted Bingley to marry Darcy's sister. But Jane was sure that Bingley was in love with her, and he will marry her. On the other side, Colin, who wanted to marry Elizabeth, tried to forcefully marry her, but Elizabeth said no to him straightforward. And then her mother got so angry at her, but her father was also on her mother's side. Then Elizabeth became so upset and ran towards the forest. There she found Vincent. Then Elizabeth asked him about disappearing from the party. He talked about something else and asked her to go to a strange place. And then he took her with him to a palace so far away. Then Elizabeth saw that everyone in that palace was a zombie. Elizabeth tried to attack on those zombies, but Vincent told her not to, and said that they're not totally a zombie, because they eat the brain of pigs rather than humans, and they will not become a zombie until they eat human brains. Vincent wanted to make a rule where people will not kill the zombies that don't eat human brains, and he wanted to give them permission to live with normal humans, because this is the bridge that connects humans and zombies. Then Elizabeth told him that the king will never agree with this rule. Then when Elizabeth went back home, she found out that her sister Charlotte said yes to marry Colin, and she needs permission from Queen Catherine to stay in a safe place with Colin. That's why she wanted to go there with her sister Elizabeth. Then both of the sisters went to Queen Catherine with Colin. And then Elizabeth found out that Darcy is the niece of Queen Catherine. And then Elizabeth introduced Vincent to Queen Catherine. Vincent told them about those half-zombies who eat pig's brains to live, and he told her to fight the battle with zombies with him. But Lady Catherine immediately said no to all of this. Then Vincent tried so hard to convince her that one normal human takes 16 years to become a soldier, but it takes no less than 1 minute to become a zombie, and the amount of zombies is increasing so fast. That's why you should decide after thinking about it deeply. And Vincent also wanted the support of Darcy, but Darcy also said no to him. Then Vincent left the palace, and Elizabeth felt so sad because of the rude behavior of Darcy. And then when Elizabeth was laying down in her bed, she could not sleep. Then she came outside and she found Vincent, and told her that it was Darcy who has separated your sister and Bingley. He did all of this. Then Vincent asked her to run away with him, but she said no to him, and the next morning, Darcy came to Elizabeth and asked her to marry him. But Elizabeth rejected him and blamed him for breaking her sister's marriage, and she behaved so rudely with him. At some point, she attacked him. Darcy tried his best to make her understand and asked for forgiveness. Then he left, and after some time, Elizabeth got a letter that Darcy wrote to her. He said that he heard everything that Elizabeth's mother said. He said that her mother wanted all of her daughters to marry a rich man, and that's why, to save his friend, he told him to say no to marry Elizabeth's sister. And then he told her about Vincent, that he doesn't even know if his father had anything for him, because he died before he could do this. But he still gave him money, and then Charles wasted all of it, and even after that, he kept asking him for more money. Vincent tried to convince Darcy's sister to run away with him, because she had so much property on her name. But then, after knowing all of this, Elizabeth stopped her sister to take this wrong step, which means his friend Vincent was too greedy, who makes fools out of people for his own good. In that letter, Darcy also wrote that he loves her so much, but maybe for now, it was too tough to meet him, because now he was in London's main building, where it was attacked by so many zombies. It was not just any attack, it was a very well-planned attack. Then he realized that there's someone who's guiding them, he was leading all those zombies. After reading the letter, Elizabeth gets too emotional, and then Jean came there and told her that Vincent has taken his sister. And then Elizabeth gets herself ready to save her sister. And while she was getting ready, then Lady Catherine came there with her guard. She talks about Elizabeth and Darcy's relation. Then she tried to make her promise that you will never attend any royal marriage. But then, Elizabeth didn't agree with her. And then Lady Catherine asked her to fight. But she even said no to fighting, and said, "If I fight against you, then it means I'm fighting against the whole England." But then the guard of the Queen attacked her, and he was beating her so bad. And at a certain point, the guards grabbed her neck and started choking her. But still, Elizabeth didn't promise about that. And then Elizabeth attacked him too, and beat him so bad. And then some rocks fell on him, and he died. Then, Queen Catherine was so impressed by Elizabeth's bravery, and then gave her permission to go to Darcy. After that, Elizabeth and Jane went ahead on a horse. On the other side, Bingley was trying to hold the attack of those zombies. But suddenly, a zombie attacked on him. The zombie was about to kill Bingley, but then Jane got there and saved him. Jane got so happy after seeing him. On the other side, Darcy was surrounded by zombies, but Elizabeth went there and saved him as well. And Darcy asked them both about the reason for them to get there. Then they told him that Vincent took her sister with him in that palace where he once took Elizabeth too. When Elizabeth told him the name of that place, he told her, "That place was buried on the ground 5 days ago, and it will be so tough to get there, and maybe your sister is not alive at all." Then Elizabeth got so sad, but Darcy went ahead in his horse, alone, to go to that palace. And when Elizabeth found out, she also went there. And then Darcy sneakily went inside the palace and found Vincent. Then Darcy offered him money. Darcy told him that he could take as much money as he wants, and in exchange, leave Lydia alone, but did not agree to take any money. And Vincent asked for the watch of his father from Darcy, but Darcy said no to him. And then Vincent pointed a gun toward him, but Vincent missed his shot, and then so many zombies came there and attacked them. Then Darcy saved Lydia and took her with him, but Vincent got stuck inside. Then Darcy sent Lydia outside alone, and tried to stop the zombies. And then Vincent came there and attacked him. But suddenly, Elizabeth came there and saw that Lydia was going from there. Then she called her name, but when she looked back, she saw that so many zombies were behind Lydia. Then she went there to stop them. And then Lydia went to her sister safely. Vincent was so hard on Darcy and told him that no one else but you made me like this. And all the people died in my hand was because of you. And then he was about to kill Darcy. And then Elizabeth came there and cuts off Vincent's hand and saves Darcy. On the other side, Darcy and Elizabeth were taking too long to come back. That's why Bingley ordered the armies to destroy the bridge, because Darcy told him to do so. The zombies were getting into the city, then the soldiers destroyed the bridge. While they were destroying the bridge, Darcy and Elizabeth came there. But in that explosion, Darcy was so badly injured. And then Elizabeth started crying so much. She thought Darcy was no more, and he will never come back in her life. She tried her best to wake him. Then she realized Darcy, and she also loved him. And then we saw the scene of London, and got to know that the battle was over. Darcy didn't die in that battle. And then Darcy told Elizabeth about his love again, and asked her to marry him. And Elizabeth was happy and said yes to him. And then, along with Elizabeth and Darcy, Bingley and Jane got married as well. And then we saw that, on the opposite side, Vincent was alive, and he attacked on the Palace of London. And then it was clear that no one else was leading the zombies but Vincent. And with this scene, the movie ended. I hope the second part of this movie will be released soon. And if you guys liked today's explanation in this video, then like the video and subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed yet. I will see you in another video like this one. Till then, take care. Thanks.